It's Monday, and that so happens to be the day that I like to talk about monsters. I'm Geoff Arbuckle, and this is Monster Mondays, presented to you by Film Seizure. You can catch new episodes of Film Seizure with myself and Jason Oliver on Wednesdays, but Mondays are for me to talk about monster movies. Now, I don't mind telling you guys that I'm a fan of fish monsters, and I'm of the belief that I'm nowhere near alone in this love. Ever since Creature from the Black Lagoon, Hollywood has tried time and again to crack the nut on fish creatures. Hell, alone on this series, I already covered Horror of Party Beach with hot dog mouth monster fish creatures. I did Creature from the Black Lagoon. Over at my B-Movie Enema blog, I talked about both Humanoids from the Deep, about fish monsters trying to mate with human women, as well as the parody film They Bite, that features a porno studio making a movie called Invasion of the Fish Fuckers. Another classic fish monster movie from the 70s was Zat, also known as Bloodwaters of Dr. Z, which has been featured on both Red Letter Media's Half in the Bag series as well as Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I don't think anyone doubts that the pinnacle of fish monster mastery came a couple of years ago when Guillermo del Toro won the Best Picture and Best Director for the beautiful The Shape of Water. That is not what I'm talking about this week. Nope. This is one of the lesser fish monster movies, Spawn of the Slithis, also known as Slithis. Now, I love the trailer for this movie, and here's a little bit of that audio.
It was a California summer, and in a sleepy little town called Venice, life seemed so easy. Until that night, when terror stalked, and then things could never be the same. Slithis, spawned from a nuclear hell, it forages for food to survive.
And last night's brutal slayings brings to 7 the total number of Venice residents murdered in this bizarre series of ritualistic mutilations. The locals are in panic.
Sure, we're scared. Damn scared.
I have to believe that is one of the guys who used to narrate those NFL film highlight reels. But anyway, it's an awesome trailer that is classic in the idea of the stalking monster coming to a sleepy town to mess people up. They even say they will hand out Slithis Survival Kits at the box office to anyone who goes to the movie. And since I can't find normal information about this movie through my normal avenues, let me read from Roger Ebert's half-star review of 1978's Slithis. He writes, "There are times when I think being a movie critic is not an appropriate occupation for an adult. One of those times occurred Friday afternoon when I entered the Chicago theater and the ticket taker handed me my Slithis Survival Kit. I'd read about the kit in the ads. You must be protected, they warned. So important was the kit, indeed, that patrons would not be admitted to the theater without one. And now here I was, standing in the lobby with a kit of my own. It was a small, cheaply printed 4-page booklet with a picture of Slithis on the front. On page 2, I found my instructions. A. Remove picture of Slithis by cutting along dotted line. B. Keep picture of Slithis on person at all times. C. At night when sleeping, keep picture of Slithis under pillow. D. Join Slithis fan club. Page 3 was a membership application form requiring me to solemnly swear to uphold the following rules and regulations, including Regulation 2, which was to promote a better understanding of the Slithis and the environmental conditions that created it. Page 4 said I could get a free photo of Slithis by mailing 25 cents to the Slithis Fan Club, which is located in Des Moines, Iowa. I demurred. I did, however, enter the theater hoping for one of those great bad movies like Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster or the immortal Inframan. I was disappointed. Incredibly, the movie talks itself to death. There are long conversations, made up mostly of small talk and then Slithis strikes. And I'll tell you, that Ebert was such a fun writer when he found something truly bad. But this is my show, damn it. This is Monster Monday, so you know I will find at least 3 things that I enjoy while watching Slithis, and we'll get to those momentarily. Now, the movie starts with a couple of ragamuffin kids playing frisbee next to what I think is supposed to be a creek or possibly a stream, but it also looks like a shitty runoff for the sewer. But they find a dog with its face ripped off while goofy, light, and fluffy music plays. It's so bizarre. Later that night, a creature rises from the water, and we get to see through Slithis' vision as it tears into a house to terrorize a couple. The deaths and attacks grab the attention of the disgruntled high school journalism teacher, Wayne Connors. He gets some goop from the crime scene at the Duns when the people who were murdered the night before. And he talks to the biology teacher at the high school, Dr. John. He figures out that the stuff is radioactive. And Dr. John tells a story about a nuclear power plant in Wisconsin, and it had an effect on the plant life in the lagoon, and this organic mud was called Slithis. It basically mimics and evolves into something more of a living creature. Dr. John sends Connors to Dr. Aaron Burek, who has some expertise in radioactivity. When more show up dead from a Slithis attack, the cops start to bust various sects of religions to question them, believing that this is some sort of ritualistic killing. It's really bizarre that they jump to that level, but whatever. The movie says Venice, California is on the edge of panic, but it still seems pretty quiet and peaceful there. Eventually, Connors meets with Dr. Burek, and he tells them about the organism evolving itself to find the most suitable form to sustain its life and survive its surroundings. So Burek says if the nuclear power plant is the source of the contamination creating the Slithis, they won't cop to it, and the security will be too tight to snoop around. However, get some samples, and boom, you should be able to find the agent that is causing the Slithis to happen. Connors then gets some samples from the soil near the power plant, and it's similar to the Slithis mud he collected previously, but it's not quite the same. The cops want nothing to do with the fish monster theory, though we don't see that interaction in the movie. It's just kind of mentioned that the cops don't want to be involved. So Dr. John and Connors decide to close the locks in the canals where the Slithis creature is coming ashore into Venice. The hope is it will look for food somewhere else and just go out into the depths of the ocean. However, I posit it could just send the Slithis to another port town, and I think that's what kind of happens. After a long scene of a guy meeting a younger girl, taking her back to his boathouse, and then tries to romance her on the boat, they get killed by the Slithis. So now the Slithis isn't roaming through the town, through the canals, it's just terrorizing the marina. So now the plan is to trap the Slithis by letting it into the canal and then closing the lock behind it, and they hunt it down from there. But our heroes kind of fail and have to chase it in open waters. This leads to the death of almost all of our heroes until an anchor in the chest and a camera effect kills the creature, until a final jump scare kills our lead hero in a freeze frame that smash cuts to black. Now, as I mentioned, this is a positive show, so let's get to my 3 things I enjoy about the incredibly silly spawn of the Slithis. And I guess before I get into that, let me just say that this movie is not very good. It is surprisingly dull in most of the movie. I did still find some things I enjoyed, but I kind of have to agree with Mr. Ebert in his original review. It is shockingly, it's just shockingly slow at times. There's too much conversation, not enough Slithis monster. So first, I really did like the props used for the kills. The dog scene in the first scene is nicely put together. It looks like a real dog with its face missing. Later, when the Duns are attacked by the Slithis early in the movie, I like that, the guy is just kind of gutted, but the lady, playing the wife is just a skeleton on the floor next to him. It's a fun thing about this movie. I think they spent their entire budget to make sure the victims look good, and I kind of appreciate that. If you got a kind of a dull movie, you got to at least make the dead things look good. Now, there's a lot of weird stuff that I find funny about this movie. It does not help the quality of this movie, but it is one of those things that makes for a peculiar and sometimes fun bad movie experience. First, as I mentioned previously, the radio says Venice is gripped in fear and terror and on the brink of panic, but there's absolutely no indication of that. Just a couple of scenes after that radio report, Connors is walking through town looking for a missing bum who might have seen the Slithis creature. And you can see people going about their normal thing. You know, they're working out on the beach, they're visiting their favorite shopping places and so forth. You can also hear kids playing and laughing in the background in the audio track. I mean, real grip of terror and panic, huh? I mean, unbelievable. Also, the Duns, the first human victims. The cast clearly lists them, as I pronounce it, the Duns, D-U-N-N-S. D-U-N-N is their last name. I think Harry or something is the guy's name. But they keep calling them the Dones, as if it's spelled D-O-A-N. Is there a regional West Coast accent that changes Dun to Doan? Also, the radioactive expert guy is Dr. Aaron Burek, and that's Aaron spelled E-R-I-N, like a girl, but he's a guy. The wife of our main hero, Wayne Connors, is named Geoff Connors, like a guy, like me, but spelled the other stupid normal way. They even make a crack about the name at one point. When Dr. John is asked by Geoff Connors why the stuff was called Slithis, Dr. John says the same reason why your parents named you Geoff. Who knows? There is a turtle race contest in the middle of the movie. It's kind of just like what they would call shoot the rodeo, or shoot the, where you basically go to where something is already happening and just shoot the scene. And one of the turtles is named Legs McGurk. I can't. I mean, it's so bizarre and so funny. Like, I want to own a turtle now just so I can name it Legs McGurk. High Pike, who's a wonderful and wonderfully over-the-top kind of character actor, is a police lieutenant that Connors is trying to convince about the monsters, and he plays it so over the top that it doesn't fit in this movie at all. And I mean, that's all bizarre shit, and it makes for like fun little things to point out in a crappy monster movie. Now, finally, the Slithis creature is actually kind of cool looking. You can definitely tell a lot of work went into the rubber suit that was designed for it. It has a slight look of the Gill Man from the creature from the Black Lagoon, but it's a little beefier. It's a modern take on it, if anything. And from what I understand, the actor playing the creature, Win Condict, had to be sewn into the costume daily because it was all one piece and had no place for buttons or zippers or anything like that. So once sewn in, he could not take it off and had to remain in it all day. Now, can you imagine how terrible that must have been? I mean, it makes me wonder if he could eat or drink, or what he had to do if he had to take a leak or a dump. Well, I mean, I think I know the answer to that, but it doesn't help make it seem like a better experience. The film was done in like 12 days, but it required 16-hour days to get it done so fast. So, yeah, that Slithis monster outfit just, I mean, it had to be disgusting. Anyway, that wraps up this week's Monster Mondays. Until next week, I'll see you later. And don't forget to check out new episodes of Film Seizure every Wednesday and a new installment of Monster Mondays each Monday on FilmSeizure.com, as well as places where fine podcasts are found, like SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Spotify. You can also check out new episodes or new posts at my website, bmovieenema.com, each and every Friday.